know I can always be waiting.
Check out Catherine Buckley on Truth Connection. Still do. Ard might be joining us later tonight.
Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, any last wish before you die, yo? Reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, fill your claw, you son of a bitch. Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Welcome to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe-Montaldo.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode. How y'all doing this evening? This is the Joe-Montaldo Show. I am Joe-Montaldo. I hope everybody's having a great evening tonight, a great morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on our beautiful, blue, gorgeous blue planet. Wasn't sure if I was going to do a show tonight. I had a couple of things lined up, and then, man, I've been having the damnedest time with an eye tooth. Yes, this is live. And I've been having the damnedest time with an eye tooth. I cracked it, and I haven't had a chance to go to the dentist. And it don't hurt in your mouth, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. When it hurts, it feels like somebody's jabbing a ice pick in the back of your eyeball. Yes. Not fun, by the way. So sooner or later, I got to get this thing taken care of. But I was, I quit smoking cigarettes about 6 years ago, and I had a cigar I was chewing on early, and I lit it up. And believe it or not, I don't inhale the cigars, by the way. And I know I sound like Bill Clinton, but anyway. Long story short, man, it hit it and it shot a pain up through my eye, and it's been killing me ever since. And I took a pain pill a while ago, so we'll see how it goes. Getting old sometimes has its bitches. Usually it's aches and pains. I'm 50, and I was not exactly the nicest, sweetest young man. I used to get into all kind of stuff. I like to hunt, fish. I played sports. I do construction, so I'm going to have aches and pains. But I got to tell y'all, man, toothaches are particular. Look, I broke bones. I broke 2 fingers, never even went and got them fixed, walked around with them until I healed. Broke a toe, did the same damn thing. And toothaches make you want to start punching holes through walls. It's insane, I know. But there's a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about. There's a gentleman I'm trying to get on the show. His name is Joe. There's a couple of Joes up coming towards the show pretty soon here. And actually, Joe Renard might be joining us later tonight, which is our Texas State Director. Jason Wilson's replacement. Jason got promoted. He used to be Texas State Director. He's U.S. National Director now. I think you know. He's actually not U.S. National Director. He is the Director for North America continent. He's in charge of the North American continent. Mexico, America, and Canada. All the fun stuff. Yeah. Oh, by the way, whoever sent me a thing today from Putin Annex in Alaska, that was funny as hell. And no backseas. I love that. It just seems like something he would do. I'm sorry I don't want to talk about politics, but it was just kind of funny when I seen it. It's been brought to my attention lately that I'm going to start doing a little UFO 101, a little Alien 101, a little Abduction 101 over the next couple of weeks because there's some people I want to bring on, but I want to get all this out of the way early this year. Maybe by summer I'd like to get all this wrapped up because we get a lot of new people coming in. And I get tired of, I refer them back to shows to go listen to. But I get tired of, repeating myself 800 times or arguing with somebody. Like a lady wrote to me the other day, and she's telling me about all these experiences and what she thought it was and how it was interdimensionalist. And I asked her why she thought that. And, she went into all this stuff. And I said, well, so it's your opinion, right? It's not based on any research. Oh, no, they told me. I said, who told you that? Oh, the Greys. I said the Greys told you they're interdimensional beings. They're from another dimension and not from this one, right? Yeah, that's what they told me. I said, well, you're the first person they told me. It's not that they don't. I mean, the Greys are definitely multi-dimensional, but they're from this dimension. They're not from any other dimension. They're from this one. They're just like us. They're from this dimension. They have the ability to cross over. That's how they stop time and space, because they have the ability to pull you out of this dimension and actually hold you between. But as far as anything else, no. And I'm not getting into whether it's dimensional aliens or not. Bottom line is, ICAR really works with 6, 7, 8 types of aliens. There's no evidence for anything else on the planet other than one person saying that they saw that, which to me is not evidence. Okay. So I want to be frank about that and up front. Yeah, I remember that Mattis grabbed me on the butt. Shame on you, girl. And I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. I'm sorry, ladies. I was reading the text and then run messing with a friend of mine. I was just teasing. You know, she's a regular supporter and admin for News on the Flip Side, a good friend and all around nice person. I was just teasing her when I seen her write something in the room, so I was giving her hell. But getting back to what we're actually talking about. I look, by the way, if you ever see me at a conference or anywhere for that matter, always feel free to come up and talk to me. I will talk to anybody. Y'all should know that by now. I've been doing this a long time. That is what I'm there for. Let me explain to you. Now, don't come knocking on my door because I'm liable to shoot your ass unless you call ahead of time. But when I'm at a conference, or if I'm speaking, or if I'm just anywhere, if I'm there as press, or if I'm just happen to be around, that's what I'm there for. I want people to come talk to me. I want people to tell me about their experiences. I want people to ask questions. You know, something I've got to say I've been slightly disappointed in the last 5 years. You know, when we hosted Wake Up USA back in the day, everybody who called in asked, I mean, hard questions, good, solid, hardcore, well-researched questions. And on this show, for the most part, people still do. But I've noticed in general that they don't really challenge ufology. I've gone to a convention and all the usual speakers were there. And I'm listening to it, and I'm friends with like 8 out of 10 of them and acquaintances with the other ones. And I'm listening to them speaking. It's the same old, you know, nothing, you know, earth-changing or nothing that's going to change any of my particular things. But I'm listening. But I noticed that no one ever challenges them. They, you know, and I encourage that. And I noticed that I'm one of the few people who work in the ufology field that actually encourages it. Most of them don't want to be challenged. And I know 4 or 5 really big names in the field that when challenged get mad. Yes, because I know 3 of them I challenged personally, and they got furious. You know, that's a sign the first an egotistical freak, because, you know, you're getting mad because you can't use your research to defend yourself. I mean, I would use our research to defend myself against anybody, especially if talking to alien abductions. Look, I don't care who you are. You know, anytime you might think you're the foremost expert in abductions. You want to talk to UFO abductions to me, you come talk to me. Because frankly, you better really have your shit together. Like I just excuse my French, but you really better have your stuff together. Because we're not just basing this off of my opinion. We're basing this off a large group of people's opinions based on an enormous amount of information that, frankly, I don't see anybody in the field even coming close to replicate anywhere. You know, I listen to all these so-called researchers, and, you know, I'm out there listening to them. I'm like, well, what you based it on? 5 cases? Now I notice, now that ICAR's been around for a while, I hear research, I got 200 cases or 300 cases, which is probably true, maybe stretching. I do know a couple of researchers that have, you know, 500 or 600 cases, people we've worked with in the past. Because I got to be honest about this, and I got to be really bluntly honest about this. And I said this even when ICAR only had 3,000 or 4,000 cases, the ones we came over with from back in the day from UFON. Actually, it was like, I don't know, I have to go find it exactly. But anyway, they're just not really, how can I say this politely? If you don't have at least 5,000 cases minimum, you don't have a pot to piss in. You don't. You don't have enough to really look across and see what's going on. You don't. It's like the blood type study. The blood type study now, you know, if you use the 4 or 5, hold on, let me get this straight in my head. Let's see, the 2 ICAR sites, the JBC site. So there's 7 sites with this study on it. Probably somewhere in the 17,000, 18,000 contactee range. Now, to be fair about this, I can only really use the ICAR stuff, which is, I'll have to write to Jen and ask her, but I'm thinking it's around 9,000 cases. It might be 7 to 9, somewhere up in there. The rest of them are great to have, but they're not from our sites. And you know, there's no rebuttal, there's no comments or anything given with them. So all I know is what they posted and what the answer was to the test, but I don't actually know how many of them are contactees or not contactees. Initially, oh, I'm sorry. Wait, I'm wrong. So hold on. I knew I had notes for a reason. Hold on. Okay, I apologize, guys and girls. The original blood type study was 4,500, and that was what the first data was released on. That was the ICAR original study. The updated study was 9,700, and that was updated at the end of the beginning of 2012. Currently, we are sitting at 11,671 in our batch, with another almost 10 from the other 4 sites that are working this with us. So, point being is, just with ours alone, just with our little measly 10 or 11 ourselves, we have 11,000 abductees who have now given us their blood type. We don't even have to use the other 10. We can use them, which gives us 21, but there's no reason to. The fact of the matter is that we've had 11,500 contactees participate in this blood type study, and it's very clear. And what it shows, what bothers me or scares me, I don't really know how to put it into words, but the initial study was done, and that is on the old ICAR site. You can see it; it's still updated. Even the little lines are still crooked on it. Yeah, see, I'm a freak about leaving stuff on the internet. As long as I can afford it, everything we've ever done will make it, will be available. You do know alienenigma.org and alienenigma.com, I own that. That's my personal abduction website. It's been there since 1999, I'm sorry, since 1999. It's been there 15 years. And the reason why is, and I've said this a million times on the air, if anyone ever challenges what I say or believe, and they say, well, Joe's just saying this before because it's popular. Oh, bite my big white hiney, buddy, because back there in 1999, I posted it to the internet for the whole world to see long before I ever started talking about it. And that's the point being. I like leaving stuff up. And it's not just for my benefit, it's for everybody's benefit, because y'all can go look at it and say, well, look, ICAR published this in 2010, and this is the one they published in because there's going to be a new one coming out in 2014 that's going to be published on the site real soon. And on the new site, it's not going on. Okay, I know this is getting confused now, but we're going to have a third site. But the middle site's going to come down when the new site comes up. The old site's going to stay remaining because it's just too big to take down. It's too much stuff on it. Frankly, this is entirely too much data. And there will be a link on the new site to the old site. But the middle site, which was the new ICAR site, will be coming down because it's all done in, which is a great site, but it's all done in HTML. And most of the people who do websites for us, well, they just don't work in HTML. They work at site builders, which we have with GoDaddy and Homestead, so they can use either one of those. But anyway, too much information there. That's just how all that's going to pan out. But the point being is it's always going to be left up there. As long as I can afford to keep these websites up, they will always be available. Because I want y'all to look at the information. I want you to compare our data against anybody else's data you see, whatever else is going on. Christopher, yes. Yeah, it irks me, man. It does. Oh, I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Christopher writes in. Christopher, where are you writing in? Or Port Oregon, wherever the hell that is. And maybe I pronounced that wrong. Hey, man, wherever you are up there in Oregon, how you doing? He said, does it irk me that some people, use our research without? Yes, it does. I hear the blood type study everywhere. You never heard anybody talking about RH negative or this or green eyes or any of that. Now it's everywhere. I've heard it on TV 24 times. Matter of fact, a friend of mine who's an attorney the other day said, Joe, you ought to sue the crap out of them. I'm like, nah, that's not polite. The idea is to give the information out. If we get credit, fine. If we don't, well, it's just one of those things you got to deal with. When you work in the field with less than reputable people, you have to expect that kind of stuff. When it's more about the ego and the dollar than it is about the individual or the experience, you got an issue. But it is like that. I mean, it's unfortunate. It is. It is. You know, people used to always tell me, well, there's no money to be, and I used to kind of believe them there was no money to be made, but that's not true. I've been in the field long enough to know that some people can actually make a living in ufology. And I know that a lot of people actually make a living in ufology and not honestly. I got to tell y'all this. They are so lucky that I have some moral, some sense of fair play. Because really, I know some shit, man. And there's some stuff that went on and still goes on today that I got to be honest with y'all. If I was somebody who was coming into the field and had found this out, I would have to go bonkers. But I own a radio station, so you know how that goes. And you know, sometimes you got to play nice. You got to keep your claws in. But I have other hosts that can go do that. No, I'm evil. Anyway, I keep getting sidetracked tonight. It is one of those things. It is what it is, and you have to deal with people who snatch on stuff and take stuff. The blood type study is a very important thing, just like the alien study, the gray study, the reptilian study. They're all very important elements to a bigger picture. There's several, I think 11 other projects running besides that. And when November and them decide they want to release it, they'll release it. But the point is it's always on. As a matter of fact, it's funny because just today I seen 4 reptilian reports come in and 2 human reports come in. You see, that's the point. We never, ever even take down the programs, ever. We always leave them active, you know, because you get 3,000 and 4,000 and 5,000. The point is to establish a number in a base, you know, after 15 years of having a website up. I mean, the ICAR site itself is 10 years old now. The old site is, it's 10 years old. And so there's 10 years of consecutive data being dropped there. And information and people taking questionnaire after questionnaire after questionnaire. I mean, you can look for yourself and see how many people visit the site, and you can watch it weekly and see how many people visit the site. It's a popular and it's a busy site. Both of them are actually. I don't know how people even find the old site anymore, but it's hold on. It's www.icar1.homestead.com. Yeah, that's the old site. Yeah. Maybe I'll make a new iCar link for maybe a .info or something and put it over there, and y'all can do it that way. But it's still available, and it will be available, like I said, for as long as I can keep it. I actually have 14 sites with Homestead, so I doubt Homestead's going anywhere anytime soon. And they're not really expensive, so they're kind of tight on bandwidth. But other than that, they're a nice company to work with. But it's important. All of this is important. So, you know, we're going to do some basic 101 tonight. We were going to have, like I said, there's a gentleman, actually matters. It's the guy you referred to me. We've been just kind of bouncing back and forth each other on email. Sooner or later, though, it'll hit on the same day. And we'll be on the show together talking about it. I'd actually like to talk to him a little bit ahead of time just to kind of, you know, give him a break. I'm sure people always want to say something's garbage. If it don't fit their agenda, I'm sure they're going to say it's garbage. But, you know, we can back it up. Nice thing about being ICAR. Yeah. Well, tell them to call in. Tell them don't be a pudding. Call into the show. Yeah, tell them don't be cowards. I hate cowards. People will go around and holler at people. You know, I've heard the blood type study used on Coast to Coast, I don't know, 24 times, 36 times by other ufologists. Not just that. I actually listened on 2 different occasions. Someone went on Coast to Coast and used, you know, y'all know my theory about Betty and Barney Hill. Y'all have heard me talk about it before about the MILAB thing and the MILAB abduction thing, abduction in Canada, MILAB in the U.S. And actually went on Coast to Coast and tried to say it was their theory. That just floors me. It's not just that. Several the Shag Harbor thing. I mean, you know, ICAR has changed a lot of stuff. The way we thought, you know, the way ufology told us it was 50 years ago, and what real information says it is today. And it's the difference between, you know, it's like with the Hills case. You know, once you've got a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand cases on your belt, even just a couple of hundred cases on your belt, you can obviously see that the Betty and Barney Hill case is not what it was. Pull down maps, razor blades scraping hair, nail, fluid samples. Yeah, this is CDC, man. This is not alien technology. This is human technology. They just one of them things. So what can you do? What gets me too about the blood type, the blood part type of study, the part that you see the maps and all, that's not ICAR research. That's 3 very prominent blood specialists. It's doctors that do work in blood types. That's their data, not ours. Our data is the data that correlates with what the amount of contactees say they are. And what gets me is this is so easy for people to find out. Okay. You know, I work with, I don't know, we work with about 20 or 25 other abduction groups, and I'm friends with other people, you know, that have abduction groups. And the thing about it is, if you ask them to just survey their group, they will tell you they have more RH negatives than they have RH positives. But that's weird. I wonder what's up with that. We'll have to check on that for you this week and make sure everything's working the way it should be. Yeah, it's very strange since they all work on the same the same server. You should be getting audio on all of them. I know Ustream's working fine, but Live 365 looks like it's working fine. I see. Oh, you know what? It might be full, Heather. Yeah, Live 365 sells out. It's getting like GoDaddy now. It sells out. Yeah, and it just sits there and spins. I forgot about that. I've been getting complaints about that lately. We got other servers. Yeah, the shows are getting popular. The network is getting very popular. And it is making us a lot of enemies because a lot of people don't like what we're saying or what we're doing or who we're involved with. And I think what's really aggravating a lot of people is we're walking between both worlds, which we're not supposed to do. Okay? We're doing legitimate news and sports and science now and still doing ufology and paranormal and being taken seriously. And it just pisses people off. Which, by the way, every time it pisses one off, I get a big smile on my face. I just got to be honest about it. You know, they say when the bell rings, the angel gets a set of wings. When I get pissed, I get a smile. It's heartwarming. Well, it is because, I mean, so many people gave us so much crap in the early days about what we were doing. And shit, I'm here 10 years now. 10 years solid radio, man. You can't even argue with her about it. The other day, somebody, well, you can't have that many listeners. Really? Dude, I've been doing radio for 10 years. I said, let me put it another way. I said, I have done 700 of my own shows altogether with guest appearances and other spots on those shows. I've got more than 1,000 archives of my own stuff. It's more than 2,000 hours of audio. All kind of research. Debated with everybody who's anybody in any of this. From Michio Kaku to Stanton Friedman and everybody in between. Yeah, it ain't like it. You can't talk smack to us anymore because we're gonna smack you a little ass. That's just how it is. We're gonna smack you. Well, Teresa is a phenomenal host to start off with, but she's an outstanding researcher, even more importantly. And she's been invaluable to me over the years. And we're talking about Patrice Sheridan, ladies and gentlemen, everybody listening. She's in between right now. She's got a lot of stuff going on, but she served for ICAR in many ways. She's our attorney for the organization. She's a personal friend of mine. She's helped us in many, many countless ways, from doing radio shows to being directors. She's the DC director still to this day. She's just very involved and she helps out a lot. And she used to do a lot of work for us in the conferences as well, which we don't have the presence in we used to because we got a little burnt out there for a while. We're all taking a little break. But she'll be coming back soon, by the way. I should be telling y'all that she'll be coming back to the airwaves soon enough. Yeah, she's an excellent host. She's an excellent researcher, excellent host. She's probably always has been the most professional host on the network by far. She's just her etiquette. Oh Lord, sorry about that, y'all. Must be that pain pill kicking in. Yes, Danny, we're gonna get to some real stuff now. I apologize. I keep getting sidetracked. It's hard when I do this show because when we got guests, I have to behave myself. But when I'm not doing guests, I get to talk with the audience. I got questions. Literally, right now, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh, Jesus. There's at least 35, 40 boxes sitting at the bottom of my screen right now. And that's just on this screen. That's 8 screens here. They all got questions on them. But let's really get to the 101. So where are we at? We're at the top, at the middle of the hour. So bottom of the hour. So basically, we'll talk a little bit about the blood type, and then we'll move on because I know it's something we've been talking about. For ICAR, this is what we were looking for. We were looking for if there was a correlation between blood types and contactees, meaning, were there more of one blood type, more of anything, of any particular anything. And by the way, the blood type's not the only thing on these questionnaires. In case you've ever read one, there's quite a few things, like the job study. There's quite a few other elements to this we haven't released yet. This was just the blood type study part of it. But when it comes right down to it, we were looking to see if there was any correlation, because we do know that Rh negative is a mutation, and we do know it was a relatively new mutation. Somewhere in the last 25 to 35,000 years, we know that Rh negative was a mutation. We also know that Rh negative was a bad thing as far as Mother Nature is concerned, because it kills babies. Remember, this blood type, or this Rh factor, is in 15% of the world's population. And until just recently, in America at least, you had to go get a blood type, have your blood types done to get married, to make sure that you were compatible to have babies. And if you weren't, you had to go get the anti-denogen D gene shot so that you could. It killed babies. Mother Nature usually don't create things that kills babies. Also, come to find out, O negative is the purest known form of blood on Earth. It is also the only universal donor. Everyone on the planet can take O negative, but O negative people can only take O negative. They can't take anything else. Because they always tell you, well, AB negative is the rarest type. It is. It's 1%. But when you factor in that ABs can take O negative, no, it's not. O negative is the rarest type of blood on the planet, because they can only take O negative. It's just weird how this blood came out of nowhere and is so significant for science and for man. Because thanks to this blood type, we have been able to make leaps and bounds in understanding how blood works, how it's used, how it does, how it breaks down. It was a godsend, basically. So if you're a Christian or a religious person, well, you can say God sent it. If you're not, you can say maybe there was some kind of spontaneous intervention or some kind of inbreeding program or something along the lines. If you follow us regularly, you know that we know that the humans and the reptilians bred in early in our populations and grays later on, so it could be ABO, and positive and negative. It's just hard to say, but there was no Rh negative for, well, millions of years. There wasn't. So you got to ask yourself, for millions of years, people, there was no Rh negative. All throughout our evolution, all the way up until 25,000 years ago, there was no Rh negative. Then bam, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, here's Rh negative. Okay. Well, we're not exactly sure why. We're a little strange, but there it is. Take it for what it is. You know, I have never heard, Matt. I did hear myself that it was AB, the blood on the shrouded tomb, but I don't know. I've never heard if it was positive or negative. I actually haven't. It would be interesting to find out. I don't think that it would actually make a difference, but it would be interesting to find out, just for sake of argument. It really would be. What amazes me is how many world leaders are Rh negative and how many of those are O negative. You'd be amazed. Oh, yeah, you'd be amazed. More than half in the last 100 years. It's amazing. It's way more than coincidental. There's a lot of stuff going on here we got to pay attention to. The blood type study is just an interesting part. It helps us to move us in the right direction at looking, to help us to ask the right questions when dealing with contactees. But you have to understand from ICAR's point of view, this is what actually happened. I was sitting and talking with November Hansen and Dee Andrew and Jason Wilson and a few other people. This is about 8 or 9 years ago. And I said, we need to be able to identify contactees or abductees without them telling us. I mean, there has to be commonalities and things that happen in these people's lives or things these aliens are looking at that can help us to identify these people. Now, because we now know that at least 65 or 68% of all the contactees so far that have taken this is 68% of them are Rh negative, that does help us to understand that if you are Rh negative, it's a much higher chance that you are a contactee. And this is where this gets really squirmy and weird. Most abduction researchers agree that 10 to 15% of the population is the abduction population on the planet. what's funny about that is, of course, Rh negative is 15% of the world's population. The two numbers are just weirdly coincidentally close. Doesn't mean that's what it is. It's just a strange thing that they're so close together. No, Denise, no. There are every blood type is represented amongst abductees. Every blood type, both positive and negative in every blood type. So just because you're AB positive does not mean that you cannot be an abductee. So just know that ahead of time. Why that there's so much Rh negative is a good question, but the blood type study doesn't actually answer that. It just leads to another damn question. It shows us that they are working in a particular direction. And if we could go back just 50 years and take this, we would probably see this slightly different. I bet you there was more positives, or maybe 100 years, but it looks like that they're breeding more in that direction. Or the families being chosen, or the children are being born, or whatever it is, seem to be leaning more in that direction. Now, 3 other groups told me their contactees Rh negative are 75%. Now, they've all got, 500 or 600, but still, they're saying 70%. The Brazilian group told me it was about 77%. So it's going to vary. Now, to be all fair about this, there's a small group in Germany, which is about 250. They were about 50-50. 50% positive, 50% negative. The British group, I don't know. We don't have enough of them in England. I'd have to go look, actually. I think we got about 300 in England, and I really don't know. They're probably a little more Rh than positive, but I mean negative than positive, but it's still somewhere around there. China, we don't have enough stats on. India, we do have enough stats on, and it's about 60-40 there, which is about the same here. Australia, it's about 68. So you can actually see when you're looking at the different countries, because people list the countries they're from when they take the test to the person who just asked me that question. Yeah, that's how we know. If you have never taken an I-Core questionnaire, you do not know what you're missing. We do not do little short, like, these other places who say they do research. Well, here, take these 10 questions, and we're going to tell you, oh, no. November and I decided that if you're a real abductee, you will take the time to take the long questionnaire. And we probably lose some contactees by doing it this way. But I guarantee you the fakers and the people who just want to be asses, because these things are detailed. It's going to take a lot of your time. And for a real contactee, most contactees tell me they spend between 4 and 5 hours filling one of these out. So it's not like it's just something easy. It's well thought out, and it's well directed, and it's one of the reasons why I brag on I-Car's research over everybody else's in the field, because nobody else does what we do. No one. I don't care who you are. You can be listening to me, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but you don't do what we do. Y'all. I see y'all use a lot of our information and a lot of our own theories and a lot of the stuff that we talk about, but you're not doing what we're doing. You got to get down and get dirty to get to the truth. And that's just, somebody said, well, do conferences. Conferences don't get you to the truth. Conferences might get you some money or get you even a little fame, but they're not getting you to the truth. You're not going to find the truth at the conference. You're not going to find the truth on TV. Not unless, for some reason, ET decides they're going to disclose on television. Really, it's very limited places to find the truth. Contactees, extraterrestrials, really, that's about it. The government, yeah, you're going to trust anything that comes out of the White House or any government official for that matter, especially in today's society? Lord, maybe 50 years ago, maybe, but today, come on. This is the regime that they do hookahs in Brazil, and, oh, God, now they're getting drunk, falling out. No, I don't think so. I don't think I'm trusting any of these people. No, I'm just not seeing it happen. And as a friend of ours in the room just brought up, ET does lie. So you can't even rule out what you're dealing with them is always the truth. It's one of the things that makes this research so hard, because you got a couple of problems here. You have the contactee. Well, first off, what is the contactee religious? That's important. Or if they're not religious, do they believe in ghosts and demons and stuff like that? Because that's important. Do they believe in fairies and dinosaurs? You'll find a lot of these things, contactees, have been similar. They'll have a fascination of vampires or dinosaurs or paranormal things like that, because they're looking for answers, which you're not going to find in any of that, because that's not what the answer is. But it's a similarity that they all have. But getting back to the ET lies, they do lie. then you have to deal with that. So anyway, so now you've got this person. You don't know what first you find out what the religious background is. You find out what their personal beliefs is. You find out how stable the individual is. Okay. Then you find out what type of ETs visiting them and what kind of experiences they're having. And is it something ET might be lying about? Because what happens is you got the cover memory from the ET, what the person thinks the cover memory means, and what them talking to other people, and it gets reinterpreted as. My point is, if you're an excellent contactee, I mean, what I mean by this is if you have 50% recall, because if you're telling me you got more than 50% recall, you know what? I'm going to call you a liar. Plain and simple. And I'll prove that in just a minute. I did this to a good friend of mine, an abductee on the air. She got mad at me for 2 weeks. There's no way that you're going to have that much recall. And so let's look at this logically for a minute. Okay. Most contactees tell you they get taken, once a week, once a month, twice a month, 3 times a month, whatever. So we're going to do this easy. We're going to say they take you 5 hours a month. That's it. Just 5 hours a month. Now you go talk to any abductee, and you'll find that they can give you about 5 miles worth of information. Okay, well, after a year, that's 60 hours. After 10 years, that's 600 hours. After 20 years, 1,200, 1,800, 2,400. Now, I know a lot of contactees that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and they do not have 3,000 and 4,000 hours of recall. None of them. None of them. None of them even have maybe 200 hours, which means they may remember 5 to 10% of what actually goes on. So when you're listening to an abductee and a contactee speak, a good chunk of what they're telling you is absolute and total bullshit, absolute garbage. As far as they're concerned, it's real, and you got to respect it because as far as they're concerned, it's real, but it's not. And that is really one of the hardest parts of this. Is first making them understand it's not, and secondly, finding the truth of what is actually true in all this that's being said to you. You never wondered why not one contactee has the same agenda? It's never ever crossed anybody's mind because ET don't tell you their agenda, so you interpreted their actions as an agenda. That's why it's never the same, because humans don't think the same. They got little ideological differences from here to there to here. But it makes for a hard lot of research. The thing is, everybody's scared to talk about this. People don't want to say contactees lie or fabricate or misunderstand it. It's not right to say that, but it is right to say that. Because if you take every abductee and contactee at their word and exactly what they say, then that means right now, presently on Earth, there are 400 or 500 species visiting this planet, and we're a member of at least 10 different galactic communities, and half of us should be so enlightened that it glows out of our butthole. But yet, none of that's going on. Not at all. And this is why this is 101 tonight, because people tell me all the time, oh, well, they're going to save us. They're going to destroy us. People, they've been here since we've existed. Okay? They're still here. We're still here. And look around. If you think we're enlightened, man, I want whatever it is that you're smoking. I got to be honest with you. If you're looking at this planet right now and you're telling me you think this planet's enlightened, you just put whatever it is you got in your lips in the mail and send it to me, because I need some of that. Lord have mercy. I keep telling. I don't know why this is so hard for this field to grasp. You judge them like you judge anybody else by their actions. That's what you do. I never did grasp this concept. Oh, well, they're so this. No. You judge aliens by their actions just like you judge anybody else. If somebody, here you go. Here's for anybody listening tonight. If some guy was to come into your house, snatch your daughter and your son, take them, do all kind of weird experiments to them, and throw them back in your house, would you just sit there and take it? Oh, hell no. You'd be out there with a shotgun blowing out tires on trucks, blowing legs off. No, indeed not. Even you freaking liberals would be out there hitting them with your little celery sticks. It's not, it just doesn't work like the field wants you to think it is. This is very involved, and there's a lot of stuff going on, but this is not about us. This is about them. I know humans can't help themselves and it has to be about us and we're the super beings and we're this, that, and the other thing, but it's not. Just look at them. Judge them by their actions. Don't listen to me. Don't believe me. Don't believe anybody you hear out there. Just by their actions. They've been here more than 10,000 years, interfering with our society, taking people against their will, and doing God knows what. Does that sound like somebody with your best interests at heart? It sounds more like somebody that's looking for something for themselves. Could just be research, too. They might just want to watch us from start to stop, from beginning to end. They might want to see how it works. They're billions of years old. What do they care? They'll just watch it. Hey, we'll just watch this whole race start and finish, see what happens. There's a lot of things it could be. No, the Greys are not looking for an emotional fix. The Greys are a very advanced, very evolved race that does have emotions and quite a few other things besides that. They're not seeking anything from humans. And see, that's another thing about humans. Oh, they need our DNA to make them whole. Get the hell out of here! Really? I can't believe people even believe that shit. Oh, well. I built a spaceship and I can travel across eons in space and I can take you outside of dimensional space and time and do all kinds of stuff. I can upload myself into a new body with my consciousness, but I need your DNA. Get the bleep out of here, man. Come on. Humans are too egotistical and arrogant for their own good sometimes. The Greys are not seeking our DNA for their anything. They're building hybrids, but, we've talked about why they're building hybrids, and that's not 101. We'll have to say that for another show. But, most of the races, from the way we understand it, have the ability to grow a new body, not clone a new body, grow a new body, and download their consciousness into a new body. And their bodies basically have unlimited lifespans to start off with, but they can be killed and they can be damaged and things can happen to them, just not as easily as ours. And Frank, I see what you just posted there, you dumbass. Just so you know, and I'm being as polite about this as I can, the U.S. government is already working on this. Already. For 5 years. They announced it in, what is this? They announced it in 2005, so they've been working on it 9 years. They're thinking, ever since that guy put that chip in his head and uploaded those memories to a computer, they're thinking that they can take the essence of what you are, basically put it on a floppy, plop it in a machine, and put it back into another brain. You'll see this probably within 50 years. Really rich people will probably get new bodies and be able to live on. Whatever it is, some people say it's making a copy. Some people say you're going to lose your soul. Whatever. I don't know. But it seems like the aliens can do it quite easily, and it's quite functional to them. And they just think about it, and it pops in. Matter of fact, it's so funny because I've seen that in, what was that? What was that TV series? I know Jason and Linda loved it. What the hell was the name of it? Damn it. Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the new series, but they were. But it was one of the things they did, when they died, they would instantly just be transported their consciousness to a new body and upload. Maybe that's where they get that idea from. Hearing people talk with the Greys. I've been talking about this for about 50 years now. What's even weirder about this, I had brought this up. I was doing a little online lecture to about 400 people, and I had brought this up. And a gentleman had sent me a thing from, it was an excerpt from Edmonds. Damn, I am just tongue-tied tonight. Edmund, it's a town in England, excuse me for not being able to spit it out for some reason, Edmund. And it was an insert of a clip that basically was talking about what we were just talking about. But this was from, I think, 1851 or 1841 or 17. Anyway, I'm getting ready to post the archive on of that show that I just did. So yeah, I'll be able to listen to it. But it was just kind of weird. A lot of this stuff just seems to follow suit and follow pattern. A lot of what they've been doing seems to be they've been doing it for a long, long, long time. And they haven't really changed all that much in a lot of their procedures. Some stuff they've changed, like missing time and gain time. They've changed that around, and they've gotten much more clever in the way they clean up memories and stuff. But that's only because of research. And it does show me something, that they do react to us when we do stuff. They will change the way they do as we learn and expand and understand. They do change the way they do stuff to counteract whatever it is that we're doing or whatever it is we remember. But then all of this is leading back to the same point I was just making. They're way more advanced than we are. You should always judge them by their actions and not what some bullshit person tells you, because they're not here for us. And I'm going to say this for the umpteenth. If I had $1 for every time I said this, I could have retired a decade ago. If they were here to enlighten us, they've been here for a long time. Basically, according to the Sumerians, they've been here since the creation, since man became sentient. If that's true, we should be enlightened, people. We should have unlimited lifespans. We should have spacecraft flying all through our skies. We should be an enlightened civilization, but we're not. We are not an enlightened civilization, are we? We are a nightmare civilization waiting to get into space to be a bigger nightmare civilization. But we are a nightmare civilization. So obviously, they're not enlightening us. And Jennifer, I've seen that New Age comment, you crazy girl. And no, I don't know anybody in any of the New Ages that are any more enlightened than anybody else on the planet. No, they don't live longer. They're not healthier. They're not funnier. They're not nicer. They're not enlightening anybody because it's not their job. They're not here to enlighten us. They're here they're here for themselves. And they want people to do better. They want people to understand their experiences, and they want people to get more involved. And they even want people out there talking about this and pushing this. But in the end, and this is the most important thing you have to understand, in the end, this is about them. There's no mistaking it's about them. They came to our planet. They take our citizens without our permission. Like the lady said, well, I gave them permission when I was on the other side. Really? Don't give me that bullshit. Okay? So you gave them permission, and then you gave them permission to take all your kids, or each one of your kids gave them permission to take them, to come in and remove body parts and take eyeballs out and put them back in backwards and tell you, oh, no, come on. Don't. Because you don't want to understand what's happening in your life, or you're too scared to really see what it is, don't, if you want to live in a nutshell, fine, but don't try to put that nutshell around the rest of us, all right? Because I want to live by the data. I won't even allow my own personal experiences to get involved in the research, because sometimes what's happened to me fits right in, and sometimes it's not even close. So you can't even let that get in the way of your research. You just have to take it by the numbers. What you see, what you do, what you understand. And these days we understand a lot more than we did. We know that the three main abductors are the Greys, the reptilians, and humans. We know about the brown cleanup crew. We know about the whites. We know that there's probably 11 or 12, maybe 13 varieties of gray, several varieties of reptilian, probably the same with humans. We know that with the humans, there's different hair colors and different eye colors. Actually, the eye colors are different than the colors on Earth. That's why I always love people when they tell me, well, I seen this overflowingly gorgeous blue-eyed alien. Well, you know what? None of the aliens got blue eyes. Not any business in this planet do. The only ones that have blue eyes, by the way, is when the reptilians disguise themselves as beautiful people. Oh, yeah. It's like when the reptilian does it, it's like they took a copy out of a Fabio magazine or something. Yeah, I'm not kidding y'all. They just, that's how they do it. They say that the people are so beautiful that you just feel at ease. You don't find out till later on that they're reptilians. But the human aliens that come here they don't look like that. They're not even built like that. Their heads are shaped different. Their eyes are different colors. Their faces are different. They got more fingers, more toes. And, if we only had one or two descriptions, that'd be fine. But, we've got thousands of people who have taken. When they did what's his name's group down in South America did that, that big study, was it 5,000 human aliens, 5,500, and then ICAR added a bunch on top of that. It's pretty much tells you what they're doing, what they look like, and how they act, and why they like some humans and don't like some humans, and why they consider us to be distant trash cousins, and we have such a long ways to go in their eyes, and things like that. That doesn't sound like peace, love, and light to me. Now, while we're on this subject, we do know that on board ships, on different craft, on the big craft, and these are for regular contactees. These are not abductees. These are just contactees that are working in Pacific. These are contactees that have come to terms with what's going on in their life and have decided that they want to be part of this and want to see this. They allow them to be part of different programs on board the ships. They allow them into the hologram rooms. They allow them different types of exercises. They're teaching them different types of things, everything from fighting to understanding the universe. The kicker is They do it in three ways. The two most prominent ways they do it is they either upload you into your host body, or your husk body as they call it, and that actually has a bigger brain and taps directly into the mainframe, so you have constant interaction with information all the time. Or they download your consciousness into the hologram realm, and you basically are just a hologram running around. When they let you yourself access everything, human brains are limited to what they can understand, but more so they're limited in the amount of data that they can process at any one given time. So it makes it harder, but they allow you to just walk around. I mean, what's funny about the big ships is when you hear contactees talk, whether they're human, reptilian, or gray contactees, they talk about them the same way. They're big, spacious, opened up, all kind of technology, but yet they have bushes and trees and water and all kind of stuff, and in the air, everybody. It's funny too, because when you ask people, what does air smell like? It just smells great. Like, what do you mean great? It just smells good. I'm like, what do you mean? And if when you get like 10 people together and get them all to give you a description, each one gives you a totally different description. So somehow or another, it must trigger an endorphin in your brain to whatever your favorite smell is. It's hilarious. But it seems to work fine. And of course, everybody always says they feel energetic and rejuvenated after being in the air on the ship. So no telling what they're pumping in there as well. But you hear this from regular contactees on a regular basis, and there's a lot that goes on board of them. There's a lot of BS that comes out of there, too, because unfortunately people got to interact with their fantasy world amongst all of this. But you know what? I know we got to take a break real quick. Oh, damn, we're already 10 minutes over. We're gonna go take a break right quick. We're gonna come back. We're gonna get a little bit more on target. But there's a couple other things I want to talk about too. So if you got any questions, y'all can pop them in. I'm going to open up one of my Facebook accounts, and then I think I'm going to open the, I think I'm going to open the abduction at cox.net tonight. I hardly ever use that one, so I'm going to open that one up. So if you want to write to me, you can write to me in there. Because it also has the news and the flip side thing, by the way. In case you're new to the show tonight, the Joe-Montaldo Show, I actually host News on the Flip Side with a friend of mine. I can't remember her name right now for some reason. She's black-haired, a little crazy. Oh, man, what is the girl's name? Frankenstein? No, anyway, I'm just teasing y'all. I host News on the Flip Side with Stephanie Benetti. She's a very good friend of mine, and we get along fabulously. It is a fantastic show. We rip people a new one weekly. I mean weekly. And if you're faint, or if you're conservative or a liberal, you might want to stay away from this show. I didn't say Republican or Democrat, by the way. I said conservative or liberal. For some reason or another, we seem to hack off both of them. I'm not sure why, but we do. But it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of good information. And we tell people, if you don't like what we're saying, 504-273-7379 on any show on this network, for that matter. Let me tell y'all what, we're probably one of the only networks that you can actually call up and argue with the host and not be called an idiot. Well, you might get called an idiot, but still, you can actually do it. We won't throw you off for stating your opinion. We may not agree with it, may not even like it, but we won't throw you off because of it. But anyway, we'll be back in about 10 minutes. I want everyone to please stay tuned to the Joe-Montaldo Show. I hope everybody's enjoyed the first hour. We will try to stay a little bit more topic-orientated for the second. I think while we're doing these series with this stuff we're going to be doing on the abduction stuff and some of the 101 stuff, maybe we'll trigger some of that in. I'll post some of the stuff we're doing for this book, and maybe I'll give you a hand with it. But anyway, let's go to the break, and I'll see y'all in about 10 minutes. So please stay tuned, and please stay tuned. On the FM, the Paranormal Radio Network.
Welcome to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe-Montaldo.
Well, thank you there, Miss Natasha. I'm glad you welcomed me back. I was having fun there at the break and all sorts of things. I hope everyone's back from their break and doing your thing. You all got a snack, something good to munch on. We're gonna get in a little meat and potatoes this time around. Um, I really do love doing the show, and I'm glad it has such a fabulous audience. It has a great audience. A lot of people listen to the show. It's just so fun to do it. And now that we're slightly changing the format somewhat, we'll be doing a lot of different things. Carol, to answer your question, no, actually, I don't own a six gun anymore. I used to have a 357 snub nose six shooter, like as Ian describes in the song. But today it just depends what gun I'm carrying. If I got one of the 380, I bought two 380s. Actually, I inherited a 380 and I bought one. Both of them are actually for Linda. They're both 9 shots. They both have exploding hollow points in it. And every other round there's an exploding hollow point, and then there's a solid head bullet, for knockdown practice. Those, and then I've got a 9mm that holds 14 and a 45 that holds 12. So it just depends what I'm carrying. So some days I'm double six gun checks. I'm carrying 12. And a couple of extra clips. Now, you should always be prepared in the grand scheme of the world. You always should be. And what I mean, but I'm not talking about owning a gun. If you live somewhere like I do, yes, you should own a gun. But if not, it's not so much. For me, when I say prepared, first off, I live in the bayou in a swamp, and then I own a place in the bayou in a swamp on the coast. So, we bought a camp. So for me, you need to own a gun. And not, it's good to have it because you got to watch for crazy people coming up on your stuff and all. But occasionally you might be out, might be an alligator, might be a rat, might be whatever. You might need to shoot a snake or something, for those reasons. But more importantly, see, being in a hurricane zone, we keep stuff like extra sets of clothes packed. You keep a couple of lanterns around, a couple good flashlights. You keep bottled water, bottled canned food, stuff like that, because we have hurricanes every year, so we start to build up a supply after a while. So for most people who live on a Gulf Coast, if there's a disaster of any kind, they're pretty much prepared for it. Not like most of the country. And then, of course, you got your freaks that are stockpiling things because of the next nuclear war, which is not, not the same thing about it. Anybody who wants to be prepared should be prepared. But it only matters to a point. New Orleans is not that big of a city, and there would still be. You've seen there was riot and chaos. Now let's take this to, say, a city the size of D.C., which is about half the size of New York. Well, there was 10,000 people running rampant in the city of New Orleans, robbing, pillaging, raping, killing, doing whatever, basically, with no law at all. So here's D.C., and now there's going to be 100,000. If this happens to New York, you're going to have 2 or 3 million people running around trying to get food, trying to set up places to live. It's going to become a battlefield. That's what it's going to become. So it's good to be prepared. It's good to have your ducks in a row. It's good to have your friends around, and it's good to be armed. Personally, I'm hoping nothing like this ever happens in my lifetime. I'm hoping it's just a waste of money, because personally, I don't like those stupid. And this tells you how weird the world is. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, when I was 16, I got a job. Working on weekdays when I was out of school, packaging in-flight rations for the U.S. military. The MRIs that everybody talks about. Back then they were a little different, but it still is MRIs. I packaged them for 2 years, and then I joined the military. But really what's funny about it is I actually had to eat the damn things. Some of the ones we actually packaged, we ended up eating in the service. What's really funny about it, during Katrina, I seen some of the ones we packaged. I got these little crescent moons with these stars on. That's how you know what they are. Each batch of every year has anyway, I think, so you can identify them. Long story short, we actually seen these things were packaged like 15, 20 years ago. With the exception of certain things in the MRIs, I really am not a big fan. They always do. I got to give the military credit for this. They always use top of line everything when their chocolates or Hershey's or Nestle's or any. It's always name brand products. Even the meat comes from like Hormel or things like that. It's depending on what kind of rations you got. They got the kind that you just snap and they get hot and all, so you get a hot meal, things like that. But so all of this is available out there. The hardest thing to stockpile is fuel. Because gasoline can go bad and will go bad if it's not stored correctly. If it's stored correctly in an airtight seal, it's fine. But anything that can rust, rot, or otherwise decay, you'll end up losing your fuel. We kept 6 55-gallon drums after Katrina for 2 years. Actually, we ended up giving away 2 of them in the end. But we were using so much fuel. We had crews running, people going around. Once everything got up and running again, it was fine. But you can go to, see, there's local refineries down here, so you can run up to a refinery and get a 55-gallon drum of gasoline. You can't always do that. And let me tell you what, don't go to your local gas station and say you're going to fill up 6 or 7. It's going to tell you crazy if it's during a crisis. Hell, they were limiting how many Cokes you could buy or hamburgers you could order. It was insane. It really was. It's going to happen. So it's good to have. I mean, Katrina, Sandy, you didn't really have to be prepared for. It wasn't that kind of storm. And there was a pretty good response by the government on Sandy. I got to give them credit on that. They did a pretty good job of responding. But there wasn't a lot of people without power for a year and stuff like that, and without food or homes and things like that. So, I mean, this is a rule of thumb for recovery of a storm. If it takes 20 years to recover, you've had a real storm. If it takes 2 or 5, not so much. It's just the way it happens. But this is something you should be prepared for. And I tell this to people all the time, you should be prepared for everything. Category 1 hurricane, Category 5 hurricane, an invasion from the Russians, Obama, doing something stupid. Whatever it may be, you should be trying to prepare yourself for it. And it never hurts to be prepared. A friend of mine the other day asked me why I'm buying this camp and adding more bills to my already stressful life. He goes, Joe, I don't understand. I said, well, dude, first off, it's a place to relax on the weekends. It's beautiful. It's nice. It's not costing me all that much money. Frankly, I got to be honest with y'all. My apartment here and my note there still will be less than my house note was on the house I got rid of 3 years ago. So I need the relaxation, and eventually we'll probably just move up there and live up there. But it is a place that you can get away. You can set up generators. We're already setting up most of our lights outside are solar powered. We're not even going to be using the energy off the house, and we're putting a bunch of them out there. We can turn them on and off and then just let them charge all the time, but we're using solar powered lights out there on the ground, on the poles, everywhere. One, to save my electric bill because electricity is outrageous up there. And 2, to have lighting all over the property without running wire all over the property. So it's a big plus. It's a nice thing to do. But some states you don't have to be prepared. Somebody said, well, I live in a heartland. I don't have to be prepared. Well, that's where we keep all of our nukes. First place Russia's going to blow up. You better be damn prepared. So you've seen the government today officially put out a thing. If you're caught in a nuclear attack, you should not try to flee the area. You should try to find a parking garage or an inside of a building or a stairwell and stay there until the all clear is given, because that would provide you with the most protection. And if by some chance you were exposed outside to the radiation, to go in, but don't just use soap, to get you some kind of scrubbing agents and scrub down. Now, I don't want to call people dumb, okay, but I was in the service. And I know what just a 2-kiloton nuke will do if you're within anywhere of a mile of the explosion. You're dead. If you were exposed to that, you're dead. You're a walking dead man. There ain't no amount of scraping, no sitting in any holes anywhere that are going to save you from that. You're dead. Done, over with. Well, if someone's going to nuke a city like New York, they're not going to use a kiloton nuke. They're going to use a 25 kiloton or a 50 kiloton nuke. They're basically going to flatten the thing. And then they're going to kill a radius of 50 miles around that city. A 10-mile radiation wave the first day, and then each day after that for the next week, at least another 10 miles a day. And it will kill everything in its path. And then even after those 2 weeks, you will still have radiation fallout, not near as bad, not near as high. But you'll still have it. It's one of the things I've always thought it was funny about Russia, China, and America. They can't nuke each other. The dumbasses can't. If Russia ever nukes us, they kill themselves. We share trade winds. Every drop of nuclear radiation that hits the North American continent will eventually end up in Russia and China. Do y'all not remember when our whole country was covered in orange dust from China? Kind of puts it into perspective. And I don't think the Chinese are going to be real happy if the Russians nuke us and we contaminate their country. It's one of those things that, I think the nukes more are about spending money. Yeah, let's spend some money. That's what I really think it's about. But hey, if someone ever nukes us, well, I don't want to be there. And I feel for you New Yorkers. You know what? New Yorkers are like Tokians. You know how Godzilla always storms Tokyo to death? Now everybody wants to blow New York up. Why not L.A., Hollywood? Come on. Leave the New Yorkers alone. If anybody needs to blow up, it's freaking L.A., man. Come on, Hollywood's a nightmare. I'm agreeing with y'all on this, man. Leave the New Yorkers alone, move to Hollywood. Yeah, my co-host is probably falling over right now because I'm saying something nice. She probably fell out of her damn chair. Did he just say something nice? Anyway, let's get back to the real stuff. We'll stop playing around. I do have a lot of fun, but I'm gonna have to go back to the old days and not reading the the chat room when we're doing live shows. It's just not a good thing to do. All right, Sharon, what are you saying? Sharon, where are you from? Oh, Toronto. Hey, up there in Toronto, it's still pretty cold up there, I hear, huh? Yeah, having a hard time? You don't think, do I think E.T. would stop a nuclear attack? No, I don't. Not even a little bit. It's not. You know, I often do wonder about this, and this is a good question in the fact that I don't think they would actually stop an inbound nuke. But would they actually take their contactees? Now, that's a different question. You know, we talk about this uploading of consciousness all the time. If they know there's a nuke inbound, do you think they'll just upload their consciousness of their contactees into a new body? Because there's not going to be no waiting around for them to go to the hospital or mortuary. I mean, a nuke's going to incinerate their asses, so they won't stop the nuke, but I bet you they retrieve their contactees unless they're not important ones. That's a good question. You know, it matters. I'm not ready to talk about that tonight, but remind me in a couple of weeks. It is something I'm working on. I wasn't going to bring it up tonight. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Matters in the room asked me about contactees near Fukushima. It was brought up in a discussion about 7 months ago, and believe it or not, we have found a few. And I'm not going to talk about the story tonight, but you will be amazed at what we found. I'm trying to get them to come on the show. Actually, getting them on the show is not the biggest problem. Is getting a translator that we can both understand. Yeah, it's been a little tougher than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, because one guy, I could understand him, but they couldn't. And they were talking to one guy, I couldn't understand anything they were saying. Sorry about that, guys. Don't know what all that funky jazz music was going on about. Apparently somebody wanted to tell us they love us and want to have our babies and stuff. All right. I could use about 10 alien babies, new workforce. Well, I'll tell you what, as soon as they commit 100%, I'll let you get involved because I want to get this out. And if not, I mean, I'm going to come talk about it on the air anyway. I'd just like to have one of them with me to talk about it. The one girl speaks okay English, but you really got to be listening. And my problem is when you're doing live radio, it's hard sometimes. Even though it's outstanding information, it's not always easy to assimilate over the air because, you know, lulls and dead spots make for bad radio. But anyway, we're going to see what happens. But I will tell you, it was something that, you know, was brought up, and we did find out, and I can't get into this much. I'll tell you this for sure. I know 2 of them work there and 2 of them are dead. But there's more than that to the story, and we'll leave it at that. It's almost like a ghost story, almost. Yeah, you're gonna love it when I tell you about it. Maybe if I catch you mad at somewhere else, I'll tell you. I guess talk about it on the air, but we'll save it for a different show. Y'all gonna love it though. It was one of them freaky things. It was right out of some little ghost story somewhere. It was kind of strange. To answer Royce's question from the first hour, you know, Royce, when we say UFO 101 or Alien 101, we're talking about is the Greys, reptilians, and humans. These are your basic abductors. The Greys are the Greys. You know, the Greys running from a 3-foot Gray who's well, one of them's alive, and then they got one that's not an android. What do you call them when they're a cyborg, half alien, half machine? They've got that, and then they've got they're around 5 or 6 foot tall, right around 5.5 foot tall. About 3 colors, by the way, and some shades in between. Then they got the 7 to about 8.5, 9 foot, and then they got one that they say is probably a queen or something that's even taller than that. What's weird about the Greys is there does seem to be a hierarchy by height, but not necessarily power controlled. I wouldn't know how to describe it. When people talk to me about it, it's very, very weird because they seem to be so much at each other's heads that things seem to get done without the need of a hierarchy. It's hard to explain, but maybe we'll do a whole show on it in the near future. But it does seem to be done, you know, by thought. But no, the little, by the way, whoever wrote me that, just I didn't see who it was, but no, the little Greys are not slaves to anybody. They're not slaves to the Greys or the humans or the reptilians. And by the way, the Greys are much more advanced than both the reptilians and the humans The humans and reptilians are about the same advancement, same area. There's an argument 300 to 750 million years old. It's hard to say. I don't think it really matters, because if it's more than 1 million years older than us, what the hell does it matter? It's so far beyond us, it's not anything we're going to realize anytime soon. But at least with the humans and the reptilians, their technology seems to be more physical based. They do have telepathic technologies like the Greys do, but their technology still seems to be more based, like physical chairs, levers, and buttons and screens. Not screens like we think of screens, but screens and stuff. Their equipment is intuitive. It's hard to explain. Not like the Greys' equipment is intuitive, but it's somewhere along there. But anyway, their technology does seem to be more physical, like ours. I hate to say like ours, or ours is more like theirs, and the Greys seem to be more biological and telepathic. I mean, the Greys seem to be able, whatever they think their ship makes. Like if they need a bed, it forms from the ground and it makes this thing out. They need equipment, this thing opens up in the wall and it starts forming as it comes out the wall. They need a room, it actually forms the room. Whatever they think of it needs, when they go to drive the ship, it actually forms this system where they plug themselves in and they fly the craft. No instrumentation. As far as I can see, there ain't even no damn screens or anything. So it's a very different type of technology. Their ships are supposed to be sentient. They're supposed to be alive. And not just alive like a dog, but actually have intelligence. So I don't know. It's a tough one because, I was talking with Jason Wilson about this a couple of years ago, and it sounds a lot like B5. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with Babylon 5. It sounds like the Vorlons in Babylon 5. It might be worth checking out the series just to find out about that. But it is interesting. But they are less advanced than the Greys are. The Greys seem to work for the light beings. At least that's what the Greys tell the contactees, that they work for the light beings. A lot of contactees tell me the light beings break off pieces of their cells and put them in, which is also in Babylon 5. I think that all this shit happened before these series. I'd be worried. But they talk about this kind of stuff. It's, let's look at this from a slightly different point of view. Let's say that there's a light being on this planet today, okay? He, she, it, whatever you want to call it. They're light beings. They're pure energy. So it's going to break off a little teeny weeny piece of itself and put it in the human. I would think, now I'm not a scientist, mind you, and a lot of this is sheer speculation, but I would think anything of that type of energy eventually would start to wear on the human psyche and the human body. It would tend to overtax our systems. And I'm sure that they're intelligent, omnipotent beings, and they could probably adjust for it. But I think somewhere along the line, you would start to tax you. And the reason I say that is it just seems to be close to true. And then when you talk to when you talk to contactees about the Greys said that the light beings do have some contact with very few humans, very, very few, and it's rarely ever on the planet. They said it usually happens at one of the council worlds or one of the worlds like that. They said it rarely happens on Earth. Something about that something about vibrations are not supposed to be here yet or something. They're who they are is too different for what we are, I guess, is what they're saying. We're not really compatible, yes, I guess is what they're trying to tell us. And maybe that's just what this is about, making us compatible to get in the grand scheme of the universe and become a productive member of the galaxy. We don't know. I mean, it's all sheer speculation, but it does seem like that. But the light beings really don't mess. I know people tell me, oh, light beings come and get me, they do this. No, they don't. A lot of that is genetic memory, and a lot of that is fancy. It's hard to make contactees understand the fact that they're related to these families. They only abduct, so y'all know this. The Greys, reptilians, and humans only abduct in family lines, okay? Now, people get a little confused when I say this. What I mean by this is, yes, your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother 50 times removed was the first one abducted, but it's because their DNA, that Grey or that reptilian or that human's family DNA is inside that contactee. That's why they abduct that family line. So they are abducting family lines, but they're abducting their family lines. This is where most researchers really screw the pooch. They introduce their DNA into us. That's why they don't abduct everybody on the planet. That's why they're not interested in everybody on the planet. They're only interested in the people with the DNA closest to theirs that is most prevalent, is most prevalent and concentrated. a lot of people's DNA is too watered down. They're not interested in that. And it's why even in a lot of contactee families, after a while, they quit taking certain contactees because the DNA or what they're looking for is not there. They're wanting to move forward, and that's what they're doing. And that's how they abduct. And we've got tons and tons and tons and tons of research to back that up. I know it pisses people off, but it's what they're doing. So whatever they started, they're following, and they're involved in it. But it's not to change them. It may be to change us, but it's not to change them. It's just not. Oh, and, you know, a friend of mine asked me to talk about this dream. I had this dream the other night about a friend of mine in England who sat down on a hot dog and burst into flames. I'm not sure what it means. His name is Ian, but I'm not sure what it means. You know, just poof. I mean, he was in flames. I'm just teasing y'all. To answer a question that Danny Ross wrote into earlier today. I guess we were talking earlier on Facebook, and he had wrote this question into me earlier. And he wanted to know, you know, what it was that drove them here. That's a good question. I don't think any of us can answer to any real credibility right now because, you know, there's a Sumerian text that talk about the human aliens that came here and built 2 great white dome cities and created a race like yourselves to work on a planet, but that race got tired and created another race, and that race, you know, became at least partially the race that's here today, or the ancestors of the race that's here today, thanks to the reptilians and the Greys. But there's lots of little stories like this all throughout history. What bothers me in recent times is if you go back 2,100 years and you look through all the ancient myths, you'll find out that the reptilians were revered, not feared. Okay? But in the emergence of Christianity, the reptilians became feared because of the Adam and Eve story. They became feared. They're the serpents. They're the evil ones. And the human-like aliens became more loved and worshipped and kind and what have you. The thing about it is when you look at what's going on, in almost all the ancient cultures, the reptilians are the bearers of life, the bringers of gift, and things like that. It's in all of them, whether it's the Mesoamericans, the Africans, the Mayans, the Dogon, the Aborigines. It doesn't seem to matter. The story's there for anybody who wants to look. It's there. It's a basic part of who and what we are. And what I find so funny about it is when you listen to the Sumerian account of the reptilian came in, stole the woman, raped the woman, had a new child, blah, 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 became self-aware. When you listen to Adam and Eve bit into the apple that was given to her by the serpent, and of course she became self-aware. And somebody asked me one time, well, what do you mean she became self-aware? I said, well, before this, Eve was standing there naked. No, naked. She wasn't wearing anything. You know, she wasn't asking what her existence was about or why she was in the universe or any questions like that. That stuff wasn't even in her mind. She was just standing there naked, looking at the animals, calling that an apple, calling that a deer, whatever, nothing of any real consequence. No challenging of the universe or the cosmos or belief in God or any of that stuff. Just la, 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 la. Then all of a sudden she takes a big whapping bite into the apple and she becomes self-aware. According to the Bible, first thing she did was get dressed. She was self-aware of her appearance now, who she was, what she was. She started questioning things. From that point on, the human race questions everything. So whatever account you want to use, whether it's the Sumerians, the Christians, the Dogons, the Mesoamericans, the Native Americans, whosever account you want to listen to, it was a reptilian that gave this species self-awareness. It doesn't matter what race it is or what religion it is. It was the serpent, the reptilian, the demon that made this species self-aware. At every account of man prior to them intervening said we were dumb like the animals. We were easily managed and easily handled. And then after the reptilians got involved, we became self-aware. So this does not sound like a race that was out to hurt us. This sounds like this was a race that was out to help us. The other race, on the other hand, seemed to be using us as slaves. So it always amazes me when people tell me, oh, well, the humans love us and kind. And no, just read your history and you'll know better than that. The ones that seem to not fit in anywhere is the Greys. At first, we're like, well, they're the policemen. They're the galactic policemen. They're watching over the reptilians and humans. Don't start a fight while they're doing whatever they're doing. And then we're like, well, they're all abducting a third, and a third. And then we found that, no, that's not true. They do act as policemen. They will not let the other two races get into it with each other, or any other race for that matter. But they're doing 60 to 70% of all the abductions are done by the Greys. It's not that the reptilians and humans don't abduct. They do, and they do abduct 15 or 20%. But the Greys abduct 60 to 65%. And we know that just from the sheer amount of cases that we have dealing with Greys. And not just us. It doesn't matter what researcher you're talking to. And to answer Spiegel, I don't know if I would be called a reptilian expert. I know people have made videos and said that he's a reptilian expert or the Millab expert. There is no experts in this field, okay? I'm just like you. I'm seeking answers. I may have more answers than you do right now, but I'm still looking for a whole hell of a lot more answers. And that's why I tell people, keep looking for answers and always be talking and asking, because you never know when you might find something that I missed. Because I'm gathering pieces of the puzzle is what I'm doing. What is that, the puzzle master? I'm just gathering up pieces so I can bring them to the puzzle master, let her put them together. There's a lot going on, a lot more than most people want to even admit to. And we need to start getting out of the fantasy part of this and start treating this a little bit more realistic and a little bit harsh. One of the biggest problems for ufology is no matter what anyone says, it's always taken as okay. Really? That's not to say that one person's lying, one person's telling the truth, but somewhere along the line, you've got to establish some kind of criteria. If you don't, you'll never get anywhere. Hence, let's look at MUFON, 38 years now. And what was their 3 claims to fame? We think aliens exist. So 36 years of research, and you think aliens exist. And we're going to do a TV show and talk about all the past cases that doesn't do anything for anybody, and we think aliens exist. I'm confused. I could have told you after 5 years aliens exist. After 30 years, I can tell you they exist in a whole hell of a lot of other stuff, too. If we don't start concentrating on the contactee, the people with the information, we're never going to get to the truth. Chasing lights in the sky is fun, and I still do it even today. But you're not going to get to the truth by chasing lights in the sky. And don't ever believe that shit when people tell you, oh, lights in the sky. No, that's bullshit, okay? You're not going to. They're a lot of fun to watch. And a lot of things to get involved with, but you're not going to get the truth. And I got to be honest with y'all about this. And I've said this 100 times. I don't think everybody does see UFOs. I really don't. I have never met a person who saw a UFO that didn't turn out to have had some kind of contact. Not one time. In all these 31 years I've been doing this. Not once. So take it for what it is. But, I mean, that's personal. But I don't know anybody in the organization that can say that either. People tell me all the time, well, I saw you. I say, well, let's talk. Let's go through your life for a while. Let's look around. Can I regress you? Because personally, I think when people see a UFO, it's either at the moment of being picked up or the moment of being put back. And I think they allow you to see the UFO because it's a trigger memory. You know, everybody says, oh, it's a cover memory. No, it's a trigger memory. Those owls and deers and stuff that people used to see were not cover memories. That was the stupidest thing I ever heard. Oh, it's a cover memory. What is it covering? An owl? Get the hell out of here. It was a trigger memory to let you know something weird just happened. It was so you would question the memory. That's what it is about. Some of these researchers to me are so ass backwards, it's not even funny. But that's what this is. These are trigger memories. These are not cover memories. Everybody, oh, it's a cover memory. No, it's not. It's a trigger memory. They want you to remember. If they didn't want you to remember, they would have left nothing. Everybody forgets. They don't have to show their craft. And they don't have to leave anything in your head at all. So when they do, it's because they want you to remember. It's not an accident. It's not a mistake. They want you to remember. They want you to become like other people working in the field or being involved. They want you to remember. Hence, a trigger memory, not a cover memory. I always loved that. Well, yes, there was a light in the sky, and then there was a deer. Really? Well, let's talk about the deer. And 10 minutes after talking about, oh, shit, yeah, okay, yeah, wasn't no damn deer. hence a trigger memory. Cover memories would have been something like I was riding my bike down the road and I seen some pretty flowers, and then the moon came out and it was bright and brilliant, and then I was home in bed. That's a cover memory, okay? Anything else is a trigger memory. And there are cover memories for a lot of stuff. Most of them are just to hide unpleasantries. Or a lot of times they just wipe them out now. One of my favorite contactees? Delete, 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 delete. That's what she likes to tell me all the time. They're just deleting the shit out of my head, Joe. It's like, delete, it's gone. Delete, it's gone. It's kind of funny, actually. Kind of sad, but kind of funny. The point being is these are trigger memories, not cover memories. ICAR just stays way ahead of the curve in all of this stuff. And, you know, frankly, there was just so many bad judgments made in the 70s and 80s and even in the early 90s about cases that it just wasn't even funny to me. It's just so much bad research done and so much bad hypnosis done. It was just kind of sad and pathetic. It's getting better. I mean, there's a couple of good therapists out there these days, and there's a couple of good researchers out these days, but still, who do we endorse? What do you mean, who do we endorse? You mean as abduction researchers, who do we endorse? If I was going to, you got to clarify. That's not making any sense. Like if I was going to send somebody, I'd send someone to one of our people. Unless you're in Australia, and then I'd send you to see Mary Rywell. Mary and I don't always agree on what the outcome is or the answer is, but we do agree on a lot of the methods and a way of achieving goals. So we're fine with that. I've only ever worked with two of Yvonne Smith's contactees. Both of them seemed, Melinda Leslie is one of them. She's a member of the Zero Group. And I'm not going to mention that lady's name on the air, but they seem to be fine. I've never done any real research with Yvonne, though, so I can't really tell you. We seem to be in – Daryl Sims I've done quite a bit of research with over the years and back and forth arguing about different stuff. But Lear, who we're going to all miss, we've done quite a lot of research with him on implants and stuff. But, it's what it is, I guess. There's just not that many. First off, there's only a handful of abduction researchers. I don't know enough about Storborn Support to endorse. I tell you what, Sasha Christie works for him. She's our UK director. So I'm going to have to leave it at Sasha's judgment because, frankly, I don't know enough about them. I don't. They seem like nice people, and I've talked with Audrey and I like both the damn sisters. I can't remember her name now. But I've talked with them on a couple of occasions. I mean, I don't have any problems with them, but I don't know their research methods or how they get to their goals or any of that stuff. So I really can't comment on something I don't know about. But I've told them before, if they ever need our help or they're looking for things that we can help with, just give us a call. Let us know. We don't mind sharing. I mean, hell, we do it every week. We really don't. We like to share. We like to help people out. But don't think because you're a researcher and you've investigated 100 cases that you're going to change your mind. If you're going to change your mind, you better have some serious evidence. It's been changed in the past, and I know if you've listened to the show for more than a year, you know from time to time, not just myself, but even ICAR sometimes will change its stance or change its ideas or designs based on new evidence. I don't have a problem with that, but you got to, have good evidence. We're just not going to do it because you said it. It doesn't work that way. Oh, and speaking, I seen somebody write Pensacola, Florida, and it made me think about something. The other day, I was talking to a gentleman who said that he didn't think there was any activity in Florida anymore. I'm like, Florida's a big state, and there's actually quite a lot of activity in Florida in 3 or 4 locations, but he was talking about the Gulf Breeze area. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, we've got more than 80 active cases there. Just in the Gulf Breeze, Navarre, Pensacola, Panama City area. And there's quite a bit of activity there. You can still go down there on most weekends and see a UFO if you really want to. And, if you're a contactee, I don't know if everyday people can, but I know contactees can go down there and see them. They still take whole families. They still bring, this is one of the Gray's favorite things. Well, I think the other aliens do it too now, but for years now, we've been watching, really for over a decade now, we've been watching, for 2 decades now. We have been watching people being taken in Navarre and Gulf Breeze, Florida on a regular basis. They come down for vacations, lose whole weeks I'm not kidding you. I cannot tell you over 100 families I've interviewed now in the last 10 years that have gone in and just lost a whole week's worth of time. Don't know what happened to it. Stuff like when you ask the hotel people, oh, we've seen them check in, but they never left. They stayed in their room the whole time, and then they checked out. No charges on their credit card, no food eaten, no gas, no nothing for 6 days, 7 days, sometimes longer than that. And, you know, I would moan and say maybe, but it's happened to us down there. So we lost 9 days down there. Back in, let's see, my son is 28. So it was about 26 years ago, about 26 years ago. Damn, that's a long time ago. And it happens a lot down there. But they still do, even to this day, they still go down there and they take their vacations and they take whole families at a time. They take them in groups. It's a strange scenario, but still, people go. And even people who are contactees that know what they're doing, they still go. They still get on the airplane and fly down there or get in their car and drive down there. I can't tell you, for years and years, we used to track people. People would wake up, you know, with weird clothes on or smelling like the beach or smelling like the woods or the swamp. Or one lady called me one morning because she had mud all tracked in her car, and she noticed that when she had filled the car up that day on the way home, so she had reset her mileage, tripped her mileage thing, had like 2 miles on it. She noticed that morning her car was all full of mud inside and out, and the mileage trip had like 380 miles on it. And she's wondering where the hell she went. So I said, well, you know it's 380 miles, you know. I said, what is that, 190 miles round trip? I mean, each way. I said, figure it's within 190 miles of your house and figure that's where you went. Start looking around. And she eventually figured out it was a particular swamp in a particular area because it was the only place that had that kind of mud. Smart chick, but we had a lot of those cases. People waking up with sand all over their car and stuff, all over their bed and stuff. They'd been out to the beach. Those were cover memories because there was nothing there. And then you'd get into their head and there'd be a whole scenario there. They were just taking people and having them drive places to pick them up. I never understood why they just didn't come to the house and get them. I never did understand that. And it didn't seem like it lasted for all that long. You rarely hear about it anymore. But for about 20 years, maybe 10 years, it was happening pretty frequently. It's kind of going the way of dodo now. I'm not sure why. It's just one of those things. Evil co-host. No, there's no co-host on the show. What are you talking about? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Wrong show, buddy. Wrong night altogether. Call in on Saturdays, yes. And ask to speak to Stephanie Benetti. And matter of fact, Ryan, 504-273-7379. Call in Saturday. Do me a favor, call right in the middle of the polls. Yeah, she'll love that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead, man. You got big coon, just call in. I'm just going to sit back and giggle the whole time. I'm serious. Anyway, I'm just saying, you know. Don't be being smart, bud, unless you want to come on and talk about it. You can call in tonight. Look, I'll let you tell her tonight on the air. Yeah. Of course, I'm going to let her get on the phone if you do, but just so you know ahead of time. I kind of figured that. Denise, Facebook Denise. Where are you from, Facebook Denise? Oh, you're not saying. Well, hello, Facebook Denise. Regular on the net, regular listener network. Well, I appreciate that. We like everybody who listens to the network. What can we do for you tonight? Let's see. Oh, okay. Wait, let me make sure I'm reading this correctly. Do the Greys hurt people? You mean like in physically hurt people? Yes, they do. And they also mentally hurt people too. And so do the other two races for that matter. To the other part of your question, do they do it on purpose? Is it lessons? I think they look at things a little differently than we do. Because of the fact that they're going to wipe the memory, I don't think that they feel the need to do anything else. Sometimes I think they're just testing our reactions, our stress points, and our pain points. I don't know why you'd think by now that they would have figured this crap out. We got questions coming in from Facebook, from iCarCox.net, from UPRNetCox.net, from Twitter, and from LinkedIn. So feel free. They're all open. You can all send me. And if you've got any of my emails, like the rest, most of y'all have, you can, the iCar or the other ones, you can write to me there as well. Pops on there. Actually, I wonder if my Gray likes Folgers. I really do. No, Community's what's sponsoring the show. Yeah, that's what you're asking about. Yeah, Community's what's sponsoring the show. On this show, not the other show. On this show. It officially kicks in about a couple of weeks, but and actually in about 10 days, I think. But no, the community's gonna be sponsoring the show, and everybody knows I like dark, rich coffee. I like to make my own type of coffee. Um, I like the dark brews, the more potent brews, and I'll double whatever, even on a dark brew, even on a strong, strong brew, whatever they say to do, I double it because I have a special type of cream I like to make for my coffee, so it kind of evens it out. I'm used to drinking Cafe Du Monde morning call coffee. I don't know how many of y'all have ever had morning call or Cafe Du Monde coffee, but it's coffee and chicory. So what they do is they pour half a cup of coffee and then they pour half a cup of steamed milk, and then you add whatever sugar you want, and then you got a nice strong coffee that's got a little mellowness to it, but it's still a very strong coffee. It'll knock your damn teeth out if you don't watch it. So I've gotten used to that over the years. So I've kind of refined the way I like the cream. I use a 3-blend cream that I like to make, and then I like a really strong coffee because the cream kind of mellows. So it's very, very good. And Community and Folgers. Folgers Dark Silk is really good for it, and Community Dark Roast, which we grind ourselves, is excellent for it. It is one of the big advantages of community coffee. I can't say in every store, but every store we shop in that has community, they have a grinder there. So you buy the beans, you dump it in, you grind your coffee fresh. Oh yeah, baby. Let me tell you what, you like, whoa, as your eyes do the roll around thing in the back of your head when you're drinking it. But it's fabulous, fabulous coffee. It really is. But y'all will hear a lot more about it in oncoming weeks over the next year. Actually, it's going to be a year sponsorship. Y'all will hear me talk quite a bit about it. But it's great coffee. I love it. Matter of fact, I was drinking a cup earlier tonight, but two started bothering me, so after that I kind of strayed away from the damn coffee. But I like the Folgers too. I like both coffees. I also like CDM Coffee and Chicory for anybody who's brave enough to try it. It's called CDM Coffee and Chicory. Just know it's going to be stout. Yeah, if anybody who's never had chicory, just know you're in for a different type of coffee. No, espresso's wimpy compared to chicory. Yeah, trust me on this. I like espresso too. Matt, I was remodeling a local restaurant down here, and actually we were building another restaurant next to the series and hybrid boxes and boards, and I got to tell you, I hate mixing boards, man. In the old days, who's in the room? That's any olders in the room? Any oldie goldies in the room? Nobody oldie goldies in the room? I thought I seen Jason or somebody. Anyway, the old days, man, we had to go through like this tinny audio crap. Sometimes the audio was high, sometimes it was low, sometimes it was like shh, and it was a pain in the ass. Hey, what's up, babe? But now with Skype, and that's the sad part. I spent a buttload of money in them first 3, 4, 5 years, but now we got Skype. Now, I do have to have 3 Skype accounts, and I do have to maintain 16 computers and the electric bills and all the bills that go along with the internet feeds and the archive sites and the websites and stuff like that. But it's costing me way less than it used to. But still, guys, donations help. Y'all don't know. I got to get 2 new computers as it is. Actually, that's not exactly true. I got to rebuild 2 computers. I don't need to get 2 new ones. I just got to rebuild 2 of them. I kill hard drives and motherboards like you would never believe. I mean, we're hard on computers. We really are. Speaking of that, I know we're out of time, but Joe was supposed to join me tonight. Our Texas State Director made me think about it when I seen Jason come in. He was supposed to join us tonight. He wanted to come in and tell me some new thoughts and some new theories on mill labs, which I'm always wanting to hear about. Yeah, I agree with that, Matters. Boy, it was some bad audio back in the day. And, most of the time today, we still get little glitches every once in a while, but it's way better than it used to be. I remember I bought a Delta audio card, I don't know, it was like $3,700. I was like, you got to be effing kidding me, man. Cool. I hope it's good. Hey, look, if it's good, it's good. Well, Sam's Broadcaster has that, but they use the AOL thing. What is that? Shoutcast. But they want to charge you for Shoutcast. Shoutcast is free. So I said, look, dude, I'll pay you for the SAM, the broadcasting setup, but I'm not going to, Shoutcast is free. I mean, come on, we use Shoutcast. Not tonight. Jim, we're actually going to stop bringing shows on after this, and we're going to start opening up the chat room for chat after this show now. Starting probably next week, we're going to open up the room for chat. Something we used to do in the old days, we would bring on a guest, because I got about half guests coming on this year and half other stuff that I want to talk about, so it'll be half and half. But a lot of the shows, when we do guests, we would open up the room afterwards to discuss, what they thought about the guests and the material. But we're going to be doing the same thing now. Yeah, everybody misses the old rooms, and it's nice. And most of our people are used to talking on the air now, so we can get in and discuss a lot of stuff. And it also helped for anybody who needs support. Well, the old Yahoo room was great, but we had to switch to Pal Talk in like 2004, I think it was, because there was no room controls on Yahoo. People at Yahoo were crazy. I mean, man, it was crazy. They'd be room raiders. I'm not telling you, half the time we were spending ourselves defending ourselves from room raiders. Pal Talk was different. You got admin privileges here, buddy. But even in the old days, you can ask Jason, in the old days, when we first opened this room up, they would be waves. They would get like 50, 60, 80 people together at a time and just pour into the room and start trying to steal the mics. It was crazy, people. It was crazy. Yeah, Pornbots pretty much took over Yahoo's chat. Besides, Yahoo will not let you make a chat room anymore. You have to go to like, what the hell's the ones over there? Beyond Earth or Beyond Planet Earth, and excuse me, that many audience is. And anyway, it was two of them over there that were science related. But we had the UFO Alien Phenomena group on Yahoo. That's where I met most of these guys, and it actually came from the Cosmic Consciousness room. November Hansen used to host a chat room, text chat room, way back in the day, and I came in one day. I don't even know what I did. I was using AOL chat and MRIC chat, in case y'all know who MRIC is, but I was using them for chat, and I somehow or another I just stumbled across Yahoo chat, and I was looking in the science section, and I found a room called Knowledge, Life, and Aliens. Oh God, let's see, this is 98 or 99, yeah. And I stumbled across this room called Knowledge, Life, and Aliens, and I went in and I was listening to this guy rant and rave for like 4 hours. Like, Jesus Christ, this guy don't know what the hell he's talking about. And by then, I've only been in the field about 10 or 12 years at the time, maybe 15, and not like I am these days. And so, I listened, and I went back another night and listened, and finally, I'm like, this dude is wacko. He's a wackadoodle. So, for the first time, I put my hand up and said, I want to say something on the mic. Oh, God, I should have never done that. That should have never happened. Anyway, to say, long story, him and I argued for about a week, and I was like, I couldn't take this no more. So I found the Cosmic Consciousness room that November and PK and there's a couple of people that aren't around anymore, but they were all hanging out there, and I used to go in there and chat with them. Yeah, Ariel St. Sinclair, but Robin Holgate, as he's better known. But that was from the Aliens room. But I talked to November and them, and then they weren't always on, and I wanted to chat. So I started a UFO room, and a couple people started helping with me, and then we did UFO Alien Phenomena, and then we would go back and forth, opening and closing the two rooms, to be fair with each other. And then finally, the UFO Alien Phenomena room took over. We kept it there, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And then I think it was 2004 when we came on Pal Talk. And we've been on Pal Talk ever since. But that UFO Alien Phenomena room had stayed open for almost 11 years, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 11 years. It never closed until this room opened. And then after that, it started closing a little more and a little more and a little more and a little more. Because a lot of the roomies felt like it was competition for this room, even though it wasn't. They weren't hurting my feelings if they were over there talking about UFOs. But there was a lot of good challenging went on. I mean, we had, as a matter of fact, we even brought a few ufologists in the rooms over the years and let them chat. But a lot of good debates, a lot of hard research, a lot of hard forward data. A lot of what you heard me talking about earlier tonight came out of those rooms because we were discussing, fighting, bitching, moaning, screaming, hollering. You dumbass. Good thing we were all friends, to be honest with you. I mean, we'd get heated debates. And then later on, I met D. Andrew. And Dee's a really hardcore nuts and bolts ufologist. Her and I used to fight. We're good friends, by the way. We used to fight. You can ask Jay. I mean, we would get into it nonstop. You don't know what the bleep the hell you're talking about, you tall, skinny biatch and stuff like that. We had a lot of fun though, and she met her husband from that chat room, by the way. They got married and still married today. And everybody should always be sending D wishing well love. And Tree Sheridan and all them came out of there. A lot of the fixtures of this station came from that chat room. They really did. It was a lot of fun. So we've been trying to kind of bring it back. It's getting the roomies used to using the mic. And we had this start in the beginning when we first opened this room. Man, it was like impossible to get people on mic. They would type all night long, man. And I got to tell you something, man. You get November and PK and G and D and all them typing. It's like reading at warp speed. It's shit just blowing by on the screen. Them girls can type, man. It's like, you're like, wow, slow down, slow down, slow down. Because, we'd all be on the mic, Jason and I and a few others. We'd be on the mic and they'd be typing. Now, listen, this is funny. I know y'all know who November Hanson is and all. She used to hoist voice to people. I harassed her for, 6, 7 years. And finally, one night, I said, just come on the mic and say hello. Just say hello. That's all you got to do. Just say, oh, we created a monster. She said hello. We couldn't shut her up after that. She's a great host, by the way. I really miss November a lot of times. Just being around, and we debated a lot, too. It was one of the nice things about the room, and really one of the fundamental bases of ICAR is you didn't have to agree to be part of it. The organization is run by a consensus, meaning that the majority rules on what our research does. And from time to time, I get in trouble for saying stuff that I'm not supposed to, like, Betty and Barney Hill thing I never said was ICAR. When I announced it on Coast to Coast 12 years ago or 10 years ago, it was a personal theory. The only thing I really got in trouble for with the organization was when I told, who was it, Alfred Weber, that, we think that 10 to 15% of the population is being abducted at different times, of course, and different things. And he actually did the math on the air. And he goes, 1 billion people. Oh, man, you'd have thought I set the Pope on fire, man. I'm not shitting you. This went global. This was one of them things that went viral in no time. It was everywhere. Still today you can find it. Even when you type my name, still today sometimes you find the 1 billion. Oh, Lord, it went everywhere. I had to listen to people bitch and moan and gripe and scream. So, in all these abduction researchers, you can't say 1 billion, Joe. You can't say 1 billion. So what I did was I tricked every famous researcher, by the way. I'm a dog. I'm going to tell you what I did. I invited each one on my show after that, all the big names, everyone. I asked them point blank on the air, and I got it on. It's still recorded today. I said, well, what do you think the amount of abductions are in, 5, 10, 15%? Every researcher, Darrell Sims, Javon Smith, Kathleen Maldron, every one of them said 10 to 15%, which is the same answer I gave Alfred Weber. But they were criticizing me because it came out to 1 billion. But they gave me the same damn answer. Yeah, I know I play dirty, but sometimes you have to. Yeah, you see that? Hey, look, at least I'm honest. I put both good and bad photos up, y'all. I got my ugly photos up. I got my good-looking photos up. Somebody the other day said, "Does that tan suit, do you still look like?" I said, "I look exactly like that." Except I got a bigger belly. I got to be honest. My belly has grown since then. But other than that, I look exactly the same. I enjoy life. I have fun. Yeah, I'm all over. I'm very well searchable. We have a huge internet presence. Myself personally, the station and ICAR. If you add the three together, and I didn't realize this until a friend of mine who works for Albatron wrote to me about this the other day. He said, "You never really thought about this, have you, Joe?" But he said, when you put your name in there and the organization and the radio station, you have a huge internet presence. He said, you have a freaking huge footprint. He said, man, you are all over. And, we've been spending a lot of money. This year, so far this year, we have spent almost 10 G's on advertisement with Google. We have been getting a lot of donated advertisement from Google ads. Altogether, it's going to be like $35,000 by June or July. This is just people making big donations to it. We're really starting to see a more mainstream approach to the station, but it is because, and I got to be honest with everybody listening to this show tonight, it is because we have been moving the station in a more neutral area, meaning that we are going to be doing news and sports and current events and things like that. While I'm on this, I am looking for a good, either a good Democrat or a good liberal news show, either one. Now I'm not to debate me or anything. I don't care about any of that. but I like to be fair. And whoever just wrote that smart ass comment about fair and balanced, we are fair and balanced. We're not like Fox, okay, you dumbasses. Look, anybody who listens to this network will tell you, or you should know for yourself, we've got 2 or 3 liberals, 1 or 2 conservatives, a couple of middleists, a couple of independents, and a couple of, what do they call them? Not independents, the other one. Damn, brain fart. But we don't keep you off the station because of your politics or your religious beliefs or anything else. It doesn't matter. As long as you're a good host and do a good job, you can be in the network. As long as you got a follow. Libertarians, thank you, Glenn. As long as you can keep a following, you can be on the network. I don't care what your personal views are. I make Chip Plesher and Jeffrey Pritchett cringe every time I talk politics. Their balls probably shrivel up to little acorns after they listen to me for an hour. It's just kind of funny. Because in fairness, I want to be fair. That's why I don't tell hosts what they have to put on the air. I don't have an agenda like that. I'm not like Fox or CNN or MSNBC, where MSNBC is obviously a liberal station driving a liberal agenda. Fox is obviously a conservative station driving a conservative agenda. I'm just crazy bastard who wants to do radio. That's what it comes down to. But I want everybody, I like one-stop shopping. I mean, that's how the first iCar site was designed, to be one-stop shopping. And so I like the station to be representative of, the general population of what it wants to listen to. We need a white pride show. Well, one thing's for sure, we get a lot more attention. Well, we could do the salt and pepper show where we could do white pride and black pride. Oh, well, that's okay. I seen a guy the other day who's petitioning for the White History Month. I'm not sure what the hell that's going to be, but hey, we'll save that for another show. Wait, well. Jessica, to answer your question from there, I know you wrote to me way earlier about this, but we will be doing a lot of, I got to get with Tuesday Miles. I haven't had a chance to talk to her, but we're going to be doing some paranormal stuff this year. I'm also going to probably have my co-host from News on the Flip Side join me for a couple of shows and some other stuff. I'll probably have Jason Wilson join me. So you're going to probably see some co-hosting going on with this show as well. But there'll be days like today where I'm just ranting and raving. There'll be days when I'm ranting and raving with a guest. I started reading Ira Isley's book. She sent it to me. And and I wrote her a letter about this today. It was funny. But or a little paragraph, what I should say. I got the book. Usually when I get a book from a ufologist, it's like 250 pages, 300 top. This is a book. This is a 500-page book. This is a serious book. I'm about 60 pages into it. I'm enjoying it so far. And I wrote to her a letter about that. And sometime in the near future, later in the year, I'll have her on after I finish reading the book. And let her know what I think. Yes, you want to get on the air with Daddy? Well, come on. You want to be one of the most famous chihuahuas in the world, except for the Taco Bell chihuahua? I don't think you can beat him out, my friend. Yes, the dog wants to be on the air with y'all. Kathleen. Oh, yes. I don't know what. We've been having an issue with the live stream feed because we're doing audio feeds now, but live stream has been acting just stupid. I don't know what it is. I already talked to them about it. They're looking to see what it's nothing on our end. It's on their end. They're not exactly sure what happened. They're going to write to me, let me know. But anyway. And then, this week, a couple of good articles in News on the Flip. There's some really good stuff in News on the Flip Side this week. I sent some stuff. That's already sent me some, but there's some good stuff on there. I like the Putin Seagal thing. Oh, yeah, that's just too funny. Too funny. I also like the 11 countries that it's illegal for alcohol. That was kind of cute. By the way, most of them are Muslim countries, but still, it was kind of funny. A lot of other news besides that. We will be talking a little bit about Malaysian jet. Talking about how the Huffington Post is a liberal rag and stuff like that. Who's not gay? That's just Putin's gay, man. He's gay as they come. Yeah, he is. Why do you think he hates gays so much? Because he's gay, man. Him and Seagal probably doing the butt buddy thing in the backyard, man. No, I'd pay money to see that, by the way. I'm sorry, that was mean. I agree with that, Glenn, wholeheartedly. That's probably who's in between Seagal and Putin. That individual right there. Oh, man. actually, a lot of people like Putin. Y'all hating on him, but a lot of people like him. I got to give him credit. He's ballsy. Even though even though Russia is a shadow of its former self and is in financial decay and got massive problems all over, and they got downgraded. They used to have 183 million people. Now they're down to 142 million. They lost 40 million people. They annexed Crimea and still lost 40 million people. Russia's got some issues. We will be talking about the emperor talking about nuking Manhattan. If y'all live in the boroughs, I feel for you, sisters and brothers. Maybe y'all should move. And that was all off of a Romney-based question. That's just funny stuff. Let's see. Elizabeth, do I think that ghosts and aliens see each other? I have no idea. I'll say this. I know a lot of times there's what paranormal researchers refer to as paranormal activity around contactees. But I don't think it's ghosty activity because grays slip through dimensions. They use dimensional travel to go back and forth and to take contactees in and out of dimensions to stop the time and stuff. So I think you're getting bleed through. I think you're getting dimensional bleed through. But that's a personal theory. It's not an organizational theory. It's a personal theory. So it is something. It isn't worse. But I'm hard. Look, it's hard on me. Y'all gonna have to prove ghosties to me, man. I live in New Orleans. I've seen some hairy, scary shit. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I have different theories on ghosts. I really think for the most part, in most ghost cases, I think they're dimensional bleed through. I don't even think they're ghosts. I think they're a live individual on the other plane, on the other dimension. Like when you see your parent after you die, I don't think you're actually seeing your dead parent. I think you're seeing a parent on the other dimension. I think that the grief has allowed you to slip through the veil, is what I think. But that's a personal thing. Hold on, I see Jason's going to join us. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, hey, Jason. Hey, if y'all want to get in the conversation, because we're not really on the air anymore, we're just chit-chatting now. I mean, y'all just, feel free, 504-273-7379. I would let y'all up in the Pal Talk room, but we don't have, it's not a paid room, so we don't get dual audio. You know that now, Jason, they have the rooms with dual audio now. Everybody can talk at one time.
Oh, that's just got to be.
That would have been a nightmare in the old days.
Yeah, that's got to be a headache, man. I'd be belling people left and right.
We'd have been cussing each other for hours. Nothing ever got done.
No, man, but you mentioned some of the weird stuff in New Orleans. And, man, do you remember that house that after Katrina, dude, that house off of Canal Street? I forget exactly which street it was on.
Yeah, it's on Palmyra.
Yeah, that was it. That was Palmyra. And there was that damn painting that they had in the bathroom. Man, you remember that thing?
Yeah, that whole place was weird. That place was weird. And then right there in the corner is where I brought Mike down there and stood him on the corner and let him sense to see. He liked it freaked, man. That whole, I don't know what was going on down there because it was so.
Well, let me explain it to everybody first, dude. I mean, this is one of those parts of New Orleans that, I mean, it didn't catch a foot or two of water. I mean, there was a good 10, 12 feet of water over the street level. I mean, just about everybody's entire first floor was completely and totally destroyed. I mean, it still looked like a war zone out there. I mean, there were cars that were picked up and floated and turned upside down and dropped on the roofs and crap. It was just really weird. So we had this job where we were going to gut the first floor of this little house that had been split up into apartments, right? So we get to the place, and me and Joe are there. We got another 2 or 3 guys on the crew. We're all just kind of checking the place out, and I went to check out upstairs. I walked up the staircase to see how the second floor was doing, and it's like every single step. I took up that staircase, it's like the cackles on my neck stood up a little bit more. I mean, there was just some kind of weird damn presence that, I mean, you could feel the energy radiating off of this thing. I mean, it was just, I'd never really felt anything like this before. So every step I was taking up this staircase, it just got stronger and stronger. I mean, I was, seriously creeped out, but it's one of those things where your curiosity overrides your, sense of fear or self-preservation, so you go check the shit out anyway, right? Well, I'm walking up, and it seems like this weird feel is coming from the bathroom. So I open the bathroom door, and over there on the opposite side of the bathroom, sitting on top of the toilet tank by the window, there was this weird abstract painting. I mean, you could tell that the people that were renting the second floor, they were like, really artsy, creative, they did their own paintings and stuff. But it just seemed that's where this energy was that seems that's where this energy was coming from. It was centered from this painting that was sitting in the bathroom. And the way the painting was, you know, Joe, I was almost tempted to steal this damn thing. I mean, I was really close enough to taking it just because this painting was so weird, but had like a lot of abstract elements on it. I mean, it was almost like this collage that somebody had just put down.
It was kind of like a collage, actually.
And, you know, the weirdest thing about it was, and I swear to God, this is almost where I feel like that weird energy coming about that thing was down sort of centered in the painting. One of the little elements was there was this door, this portal of light that was just kind of done into the painting, and there was like the outline of a gray walking out through this portal of light. And man, that was just kind of weird. You know, I wondered, well, first off, dude, I had you come up there, and I just was like, Joe, go check this shit out, see if you feel anything weird, and he felt it. Now, there were a couple of other guys on our crew that I was like, hey, y'all, go check upstairs, and you know, two of them couldn't even make it up the damn stairs before they were creeped out. They're like, I'm not going to that place. But man, New Orleans is just a strange damn place. I mean, pretty much. Well, as far as the continental United States goes, I mean, New Orleans is pretty much one of the only things that you can actually consider old. I mean, between New Orleans and St. Petersburg, I mean, they're two like the oldest like permanent settlements that have ever been had here on North America. So, yeah, it's got a little bit more of a history. And, you know, New Orleans being at the mouth of the Mississippi, you know, major trade hub. I mean, all the slave activity and everything. I mean, it was kind of, I mean, on the Gulf Coast for a few hundred years there, I mean, it basically was the hub of the entire, of, you know, that part of the country.
Yeah, I was in Vu's room the other day, and they were arguing about what the oldest city was, and he kept telling me it was New York, and I kept giggling. And I finally got on my, I said, guys, really, I said, I'll tell you, I'll give y'all a little hint. I know most of y'all up here from north, but the oldest city in the country is not in the north. Just so you know. He said, no, I said, no, guys, you're not thinking right. I said, you're still thinking Mayflower. You're not thinking about what came first, man.
Yeah, everybody conveniently forgets that the Spanish had a good century or so to dick around here in North America before anybody else really did.
Yeah, that's what they forget. They forget that the Spanish were here before everybody else was. And that city was established long before anybody else was. But it's a cool city. If you ever go down there, by the way, guys, it's definitely an old Spanish fort type city. And the roads are narrow and they're built up. You can tell they're made for shooting down.